Turkey's President Tayyip Erdogan's office has said he was personally orchestrating matters in the rescue of kidnapped ship's personnel of the Borealis Maritime operated 2,824 TEU vessel, the MV Mozart, which has been boarded on Saturday off Sao Tome with one crewman killed and 15 kidnapped. Erdogan himself spoke twice by phone with the ship's fourth officer who remained aboard after the attack. One sailor was killed in the raid, an Azerbaijani citizen, while the 15 kidnapped are from Turkey. Armed pirates boarded the ship and breached its protective citadel, possibly with explosives. The island nation of Sao Tome and Principe is located in the South Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Central Africa.
Now the headlines of Monday, the 25th of January 2021. Indian seafarers of Jagjivan finally arrive in India. Commerce and Industry Ministry calls for seamless transportation of goods. Industry demands vaccine priority for seafarers. Break bulk arrival as box shipping prices skyrocket. India supplies 2 mobile harbour cranes to Iran's Chabahar port. Baltic Index soars. Indian seafarers on the ship MV Jagjivan, who was stuck at a Chinese port at Anchorage for more than 7 grueling months, landed in India at the Cochin airport on Wednesday, 28 January. The seafarers had been stuck at a port in China for more than 7 months, and since then the National Union of Seafarers of India (NUSI), along with the Maritime Union of India (MUI), had been pursuing several options to bring them back home. The impasse that has left over 50 ships stuck in Chinese ports for over 6 months is believed to be the outcome of the political and trade war between Australia and China.
The Indian seafarers of MV Jagjivan have returned home after being held up at Anchorage in Chinese ports for no fault of theirs. It was a political development which was the reason behind this. However, they have now returned home safely. The Maritime Union of India and the NUSI continue to follow up the matter as there are still other Indian seafarers on ship in the same situation. I am currently in New Delhi to communicate with the relevant authorities in this matter. MUA has maintained regular communication with Embassy of the People's Republic of China in New Delhi and Mumbai. Of course, the Minister of External Affairs and the Director General of Shipping, Shri Amda Kumarji, and the Minister of Shipping, Shri Mansubai Badavi, has also pursued this matter and have taken the matter with a high level. The companies have also done the best. We are hopeful that the rest of Indian seafarers will return home in the coming weeks. We look forward to better months ahead, and we need to cooperate. We need your cooperation and understanding from all stakeholders of our industry.
Our seafarers are finally back from Jagjivan after spending more than 7 months at the Anchorage in China. Our seafarers are professionals discharging their professional duties, but they were caught between a trade war and a political issue between Australia and China. Now, what did our seafarers have to do? Of Jagjivan, Anastasia and more than 50 ships which are there at the Chinese Anchorage, they are purely caught between, as I said, the trade war between Australia and China, and they had been having a harrowing experience, frustration to be at the Anchorage port for 7 months, 6 months, and maybe even more for some of the ships. This issue is like a situation wherein a pizza delivery person just come to deliver a pizza and caught between the fight between two neighbors. Now this is not on. The seafarers have been designated worldwide as essential workers, key workers, but when it comes to their well-being, they are not being given the respect and the support they demand. So this is an irony. The irony, no, it is not actually an irony, it is actually a hypocrisy. Seafarers are designated as key workers, but they are not given the acknowledgement, they are not acknowledged for their role they play in the society, and this is what the situation like Jag, Anand and Anastasia, they exhibit. And we have been fighting against it, and particularly in the case of Jag Anand, the seafarers, both the National Union of Seafarers of India, Maritime Union of India, together with, we have taken it up with the ministry at the highest level, with the Maritime Administration, with our Ministry of Shipping, Ministry of External Affairs. I personally spoke to the Prime Minister's office on this, and in all this situation, the company, that is the Great Eastern and MSC, they have stood behind, supported, and all the seafarers, individual seafarers supported, the organization supported, and on the call of Nusi, thousands of emails had been sent to the IMO Secretary General to do something effective. Brother, sister, in the IMO, do something effective. Don't just pass pious comments. And the situation is still on. We are happy that the seafarers of Jag Anand have finally come back. We are waiting for some good results for Anastasia. And the fight will go on for all other seafarers, those who are there of all nationality in the Chinese anchorage, that they are professional, they need to discharge their duties and go along with their duty. Don't keep them stuck at the Chinese anchorage for a political and trade, because of a political and trade war between China and Australia. We hope and will continue and rededicate all our efforts in getting all the seafarers out of the Chinese anchorage.
At the first National Conference of States on Logistics, the Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal stated, to promote ease of doing business in India, the logistics team is trying to work towards integrating various means of transport, documentation and stakeholders including customs, ports, shipping companies, railways, trucking companies and inland waterways. We are working to bring the entire ecosystem through technology platforms into a much simplified way of working. The proposed national logistic policy is under consultation.
We welcome the Honorable Commerce Minister's comments recently calling for a seamless transportation of goods and his emphasis on that with a view to reduce the logistics costs in India, which is the need of the hour, especially with the Prime Minister's initiative and thrust on Make in India. It's a path-breaking move, welcomed by the industry at large. Seamless multimodalism is the only way forward to ensure the same. Multimodal logistic parks have to be constructed pan-India in order to ensure efficient shift of modes of transportation of goods from one mode to the other. AMTOI has made detailed submissions in this regard to the Honorable Special Secretary Logistics and the Joint Secretary Logistics. The National Logistics Portal, where the emphasis is on PCS platform and digitization of documents, is a welcome move in this regard. Besides the development of infrastructure in the hinterland, which is of primemost importance, digitization of processes and documents has to go hand in hand in order for it to be a truly seamless movement of goods and documentation end to end. AMTOI is ready to assist the government in any way possible and has already been doing so with various submissions in this regard. We wish the government all the very best in this endeavor.
This indeed is a heartening news. There has been a lot of talk about this initiative for a long time, and the industry is eagerly looking for a solution of this nature. Logistics process is inherently very complex. This complexity is essentially arising due to the various modes of transportation used and the number of agencies who individually control every mode. Then there are agencies who are involved in when the modal switch happens, and finally there are more agencies involved for the entire regulatory aspect of the transaction who control the movement of goods across the borders. Each of these agencies has a unique requirement of documents to comply with as per their portion of work, and the shipper has to bear this burden of paperwork when he moves the goods across various modes. The proposed portal, when it sees the light of the day, will greatly enhance the ease of doing business, as the transaction will be more quicker and smoother, thereby facilitating the logistics process. This is a very big step in promoting local business and making our nation Atmanirbhar. This will also help India better its ranking in ease of doing business index globally and attract more foreign investment. The industry is eagerly looking forward to rollout of this portal soonest.
The International Chamber of Shipping (ICS) is leading calls for governments to put seafarers and frontline maritime shore workers at the head of the vaccine queue and to designate seafarers as key workers to avoid a repeat of the 2020 crew change crisis. The shipping industry knows that healthy vaccinated seafarers are critical in keeping nations supplied with vital goods, which includes medical supplies such as syringes and the personal protective equipment PPE required as part of the rollout of COVID-19 vaccines. Seafarers are currently being severely impacted by crew change crisis, with some approaching 2 years stuck at sea. With limited support from national governments, there is a real concern that under new restrictions, this number will rapidly increase rather than reduce.
The COVID vaccine has finally been released, and the initial recipients of this vaccine are the frontline workers, primarily consisting of the medical workers, medical profession, the security agencies, etc. In the end of December, the IMO published a list of countries which have declared seafarers as key workers, and India is one of them. However, we do not see any Indian seafarers included in the initial list of recipients of the COVID vaccine. We are all aware that a large number of crew are still unrelieved on board and have had serious duty overruns. And part of the problem is that they are operating in areas where crew relief is a challenge. If we can convince the countries where these ships are calling that we will be able to send crew members who are duly vaccinated, maybe they will change their approach and permit crew changes. Knowing that the present vaccine requires a booster dose after 21 days, so if we begin now, then these seafarers who get inoculated now will only be in a position to board ships or embark on board in month of March. So we will definitely need to act now to mitigate any challenges that come along the way. And we sincerely hope that the authorities take this factor into consideration and allow the seafarers or include the seafarers in the list of personnel to be vaccinated.
The International Chamber of Shipping, International Maritime Organization, International Labour Organization are individually and collectively impressing upon the governments to put seafarers on the priority list of the COVID vaccine. Seafarers definitely have made a case to deserve this vaccine at the first available opportunity, not only by virtue of being key workers, but also having kept the globe moving over the last 10 to 12 months. In India, we know that seafarers have been declared key workers. We are now working with the governments to try and put them on the priority list after the frontline workers have got the vaccination. As we know, seafarers need this because they have to travel internationally to join and get off their ships to be able to perform their duties, and we urge the government to put this as a priority and get them vaccinated. Here's wishing all the seafarers and everybody else a very happy Republic Day.
Container shipping's capacity crunch has priced some agricultural and chemical commodities out of the market in favor of break bulk. According to Estonia-based freight forwarder CF&S, the company recently loaded 700 tons of fertilizers, feed and chemicals from Xinjiang to Hamburg in big bags on a multi-purpose vessel. A shipping official said, due to the huge rise in prices for container sea freight from China to Europe and the lack of container equipment, we recently tried this alternative.
Container shippers are fighting on two fronts: spiraling freight rates and increased bunker surcharges. Bunker charge from Asia to North Continent rose to $265 per FEU, the highest level against a low of $111 in April 2020. Nearly 3,000 boxes spilled into the Pacific due to severe weather in about 47 days period, the largest numbers lost in last 7 years. Total cargo insurance claims from all these losses could top $200 million. Container freight North Asia to UK hit a new high to start 2021 at $10,000 per FEU from $3,000 on November 30th. For love nor money, you can't get a box on the backhaul routes. It's the Wild West at the moment. The scope for multi-purpose vessels to enter into the container trade to bring down the transportation cost is fraught with: number one, number of tiers of bags that can be loaded within the laws. A solitary case cannot be made the practice to shift container cargo into multi-purpose vessels. Cargo damage and pilferage claims from goods loaded in multi-purpose vessels versus sealed containers, etc. Number three, container ships are handled at terminals with shore gantries. Will the multi-purpose bulkers be accommodated at such terminals? Number four, container ships have flexibility that unloaded boxes are moved to container freight stations to permit early departure of the mother vessel. Number five, difference in berthing and unberthing charges for multi-purpose vessels versus container vessels. Port costs of multi-purpose vessels are subject to port stay time. Number seven, most importantly, port state control requirements, customs requirements to pre-declare contents of cargoes in sealed units like containers cannot be the same formula for multi-purpose vessels. Number eight, piracy can increase if high-value cargoes are carried on multi-purpose vessels instead of container ships. In my opinion, this is not a solution to break down shipping costs except in a rare case or two, but will not become the norm in the future.
Challenger. Dynamic.
Rewarding.
World class.
Diverse. Stimulating.
Opportunities.
India has supplied 2 mobile harbour cranes to Iran's Chabahar port under a contract agreement for supply of 6 MHC with a total contract value of over 25 million US dollars. The Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways said in a statement. The move will enable the port to carry out seamless cargo handling services.
It is a big movement for all Indians that the equipment for Chhabra port has started to arrive. As you are aware, India and Iran signed the historic Chhabra port agreement in May 2016 when our Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi visited Tehran. Under this agreement, India is obliged to equip the container and multi-purpose terminals with equipment worth $85.21 million. However, because of US sanctions on Iran, India had been struggling for last over 4 years to meet this commitment. After a lot of hard work and sincere efforts, contracts for supply of 6 mobile harbor cranes worth $25 million was signed with Mrs. Italguru. Well, the first consignment of two 140-ton capacity cranes each has finally arrived Chhabra on 17th January. These cranes had to be shipped via Mumbai due to obvious challenges. The remaining 4 mobile harbor cranes of 100-ton capacity each are also expected to arrive Chhabra soon. We look forward that the remaining equipment like XTS cranes would also arrive shortly. My best wishes to the continued success of India's first overseas port project.
The Baltic Dry Index was up 62 points or 3.5% at 1,828, a one-week high. The Capesize Index climbed 170 points or 5.8% to 3,082.
Good day, everyone. As we have seen, the dry bulk market is pretty strong. In the last few weeks, market has been going up. Some people say market is flying, and it's in all the segments. I mean, you start with handy, go right up to Capesize on the dry bulk. It's in all the segments. Is it going to remain like this for at least medium term? Are we going to see a usual Chinese New Year or an unusual one where the market doesn't take a dip? Let's see how it goes. At present, the reasons that we see are there to stay unless some reversal in policy takes place by the Chinese government with regards to ban on the coal. So let's see what is happening to the supply of ships. What is the impact of this China-Australia tensions? About 19 Capes and 47 post-Panamaxes and Panamaxes are stuck for an average of 130 days in the Chinese ports. So what happens when you have port congestion? If you see here, as it is at this part of the curve, the supply line is quite inelastic. Then it moves inside because ships are stuck. So there is a virtual shortage of ships, goes inside. And once it moves in, becomes more inelastic, then for any further incremental change in demand, you will see the freight rates go up. Is it the only reason? And is it going to stay for a longer period, this ban? There already talks about ban being lifted, whether it is on the government level or it's in the market. So what we hear today, that ban might be lifted. And that would be negative for the dry bulk. So let's keep that downside in mind. Further, there have been various changes in terms of the ton miles, the trading patterns. Because of the ban, China is sourcing coal from South Africa, Colombia, so ton miles are increasing. This is because the Chinese stocks are depleting. They cannot take get local domestic from northern China because of winter or from Mongolia. Australian coal exports, of course, they have to export their cargo, commodity to Bangladesh, India. Then there has been a change in this area. A lot of clinker trade has taken place from PG to West Africa. Then, of course, the Indian iron ore going to China. Another change which has taken place, we got sugar, soybean meal from India to Indonesia, etc. And China is sourcing its grains from US East Coast, NOPAC, and Australia is exporting barley to Middle East. So all these things at the same time, I'm not looking at Cape size in today's presentation, only looking at Supramaxes, Ultramaxes, and Panamaxes up to the post-Panamaxes. One more thing I want to mention is that most of these reports, including the Baltic Fixture Report, they do not adjust the effect of premium. So all the rates are reflected as the vessels are fixed, and a small notation is made that the vessel is scrubber fitted. So scrubber premium somehow remains in there in the numbers, and that gives another expectation that the non-scrubber fitted ships also could get a higher rate. Commodity prices are continuing to increase. Now, all this is happening even before we have grain from East Coast South America kicking in full speed. So that may have further impact on the market. So in general, my opinion is we do see a stronger bulk carrier market going forward. Over the Chinese New Year, because dry bulk market volatility, we all know it can go down quite a lot and then bounce back again. Opinion from my side is we expect 2021 to be a very good year. May not be like 2007. Shipping, you never know.
The recent surge in the dry bulk market is, I think it is mainly due to the Chinese appetite for coal and iron ore. If you see recently, the COVID cases in China came down and now they are with almost 0 cases of COVID. And the manufacturing activity has picked up. The factories started working in full swing. This has created additional demand for coal and iron ore. Right now, if you look at the Chinese ports, most of the Chinese main ports are congested. And Baiyuguan being the severely congested port, almost 66 bulk carriers are waiting at Baiyuguan alone. And if you total the number of bulk carriers waiting at main Chinese ports, it is almost 585 bulk carriers waiting at Chinese ports. Some ports, the average waiting time right now for iron ore and coal is in excess of 15 to 20 days. This has created a severe shortage in the tonnage supply in Asia, of course causing the rates to shoot up.
Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you for watching. See you next Monday.